Can the nature of suffering be explained by free will? Well, hello everyone. Today's presentation is about one of the most famous explanations for the existence of terrible things that happen in the world, and it comes from Saint Augustine. When you get to my age in life, you're very aware that you know quite a lot of people to whom terrible things have happened. I've had good friends that have died of cancer, and my own father died in the most horrible of circumstances from an illness over which he had no control. And the problem was, of course, that he was a deeply religious man, and that seems hard to make sense of, that if you believe that there is a God and that God makes the world fundamentally brilliant and wonderful, how come terrible things like cancers and Parkinson's disease, which is what my father had, exist? How are those things possible? Now, Augustine's explanation essentially goes something like this. He says, he says that God has created all things and made all things well. But of course, everything he's made and everything he's made on the earth, although he's made it good, it's corruptible because it's not God. So everything that you see around us, the weather, our lives, nature, these are all things which are contingent and corruptible things which are capable of going wrong. And by wrong, what he means is not as some actual concrete thing like the devil that's like some sort of evil, but actually something that is an absence of the good that would otherwise be there. Think of it like this. Imagine, for example, that you had a shirt and it had a hole in it. The hole isn't an actual thing. The hole is the absence of the shirt. And in that sense, of course, that's what Augustine says evil is. It's a privation of the good thing that God created. So God, for example, created humans and he created them well. But because they are corruptible beings, they themselves started to go wrong, because they had, as part of that package, free will. And free will is also something that was corruptible and went wrong because people chose things. A classic example is the evidence of Satan. Satan wasn't an evil being somehow in conflict with God. Satan is one of God's most perfect and best of all creations. But because God created Satan, Satan, through free will, corrupted himself and corrupted ourselves through choice. So the things that go wrong, the diseases, the cancers, and nature falling apart, are not down to God. God doesn't create the bad stuff. But of course, God is the being who creates it good, but creates it corruptible, because it's not God, because only God is incorruptible. So no more than God could make himself evil, so too God can't make things that are not God. So all things that are created are capable of going wrong, and by crikey they jolly well do. And that's through no fault of God. Now, is that a good explanation, or is it just a fob off? And a lot of people get very wound up about the nature of Augustine's theodicy, as it's called, and whether it's an explanation of the existence of evil. But certainly when you look at things like global warming, which we often put down to human corruptibility, the fact that we were given the chance of having a perfect world but chose to make it a rubbish one by corrupting it with pollution and by dreadful things. And of course that does explain things like global warming, but it doesn't explain, for example, natural diseases like cancers, like Parkinson's disease, but they are part of a natural order which can go wrong, which is corruptible, which is, if you like, prone to the intervention of nature itself. Now, is that a good explanation? Do you feel that works? For a lot of people, it seems like some sort of cop-out to absolve God of all guilt. And it ties in very much with Augustine's own religious beliefs. Whether you accept Augustine or whether you don't, nevertheless, it is the explanation, the fact that all things are free and able to change, and when they do, they change badly, and that is used as an explanation for the existence of evil. Augustine's theodicy. Hope you like that. Hope you found that a useful explanation. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Take care.